completed his PhD from Madurai Kamarajar University, the area of Human Resource Management. He is an MBA holder with specializations in HR and marketing from DePaul Institute of Science and Technology, MSW from Bharatiyar University, and he's also a qualified net person. He has more than 13 years of experience in teaching and industry. Prior to joining Santhigiri, Jins sir has served in many prestigious educational institutions as an academician. He delivers expert talk and trainings on diverse management topics to the students of different educational institutions. He is also an entrepreneur who started Altro Academic Learning Training and Research Organization, which is scattering different services to Indian education sector. He has taught courses like business law, management information system, advanced strategic management, international business, human resource management, training and development, environment and business, etc. He has proven his expertise in research field with valuable publications in national and international journals. He has also presented many papers in many research-related conferences in and across India. His area of interest is in research, teaching, and training. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Jins sir now. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation, and you can start your session now.
Thank you very much, madam, for your wonderful introduction. I hope I am audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you please confirm whether the PPT is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the entire Nehru Engineering College management, at the same time, head of the department, then the coordinator and the co-coordinator of this faculty development program for inviting me. And without much time, let me get into the business straight away. Okay. After all, we have just 1 hour, 30 minutes time. So let's try to discuss and learn something from this session. Okay. So far, based on the last 4 days input, I hope you have gone through several sessions related to mindfulness. At the same time, some enhancement techniques. So many input sessions were there. I have also attended the sessions, and apart from that, my intention, let me make it very clear, my intention is to give you some simple techniques which you can easily incorporate into your life, and without much effort, you can practice that at any moment. That's what my intention. And you know that mindfulness, it's nothing but being conscious about the present moment without worrying about the past or the future. That's what exactly mindfulness stands for. And there are multiple techniques, proven techniques, which can enhance your mindfulness. Like, for example, previous days, there were sessions on yoga, otherwise physical exercises, otherwise sessions based on brain development. Different sessions were there. And one simple mechanism, apart from the long time consuming sessions, otherwise practice mechanisms, what I want to suggest is some easily manageable techniques. For example, being part of this teaching fraternity, otherwise our teaching community, it's not that much easy to spare much time from our day-to-day activities, otherwise from our daily life. It's not that easy to spare much time. And you know that we have working hours, maybe 8 to 10 hours working time. Apart from that, preparation time, in addition to that, again, traveling time. Altogether, we are already into clutches. Otherwise, we are very busy with our schedules. And among that tight schedule, we can incorporate some simple mechanisms like, for example, the first one, let me suggest. Nature walks, a very simple mechanisms to refresh your mind at the same time to release the stress. But to what extent the teachers, otherwise the faculty members, the respected professors from different institutes, to what extent the nature, offline nature walks are accessible to us. You just imagine every day whether it's practical to visit the nature-friendly places and explore the climate, otherwise exploring that atmosphere there. It's not that easy. That's what the reality is. And this time, what I'm suggesting is a virtual nature walk. Virtual nature walk. You may try some simple mechanisms like immerse yourself in a virtual nature walk, allowing your senses to engage with the sight, sounds, and feelings of it. Forest, beach, or whatever be the places of your interest from where you can find an element of peace. You may try that online. That's what my simple suggestion. Okay. And calming narrations can also support the process. For example, let me suggest or let me share a very simple video and I hope the video is visible to everyone, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You can see that the nature which can enhance, otherwise, which can support your mind to release any kind of tension. You may listen to that calm and peaceful voice on one side. At the same time, that nature and its rhythm you may enjoy like anything. Maybe for 5 minutes time, otherwise maybe for 3 to 10 minutes time. You may work it out and you can feel the changes. Okay, that's one simple mechanism. And all these videos are accessible online at the same time. I'll be sharing some links with you guys towards the end of the sessions. Okay. And another mechanism, let's try to explore another simple mechanism. Right. I hope you can read the title. The Japanese method of relaxing. The slide is visible, right? Jinshin Jutsu. What does it mean? From that name itself, we can understand a Japanese name, right? Jinshin Jutsu. What does it mean? It simply means compassion, compassion, okay? But practically, this technique that helps us to be compassionate towards ourselves, actually, okay? For example, you know that our fingers, our palm, that represents different feelings and emotions exactly. Here, what we are suggesting is to practice gently pressing specific finger points to help release tension, worries, fear, anger, sadness, nervousness. And every finger, as you can witness there, our thumb finger that represents worries, and index finger, fear, middle finger that represents anger, and our ring finger that represents sadness, and the little finger or the pinky one that represents nervousness. And all these feelings and emotions are directly connected to one of our body parts. It's clear that, and it's been discussed in previous sessions also. And from that, we are developing, sorry, it's been developed years back. It's been developed decades back. Jinshin Jutsu, it's been developed by a person called Jiro Murray. a Japanese person who lived in 20th century, early stages of 20th century. This mechanism, it's been developed. And what is the speciality of that person? Let me narrate that. Okay, he was suffering from a major illness. He was suffering for a long time, a major illness. And by practicing, the reports claims that by practicing these mechanisms and some spiritual mechanisms along with the same, he managed to survive. That's what made this technique more and more popular among the common man. Okay, gradually that was spread across the globe. And how does it work? How can we remember these feelings and emotions, everything? I'm suggesting a very simple code to remember these feelings. Okay, the feelings which represents or the emotions which represents every fingers. To remember that, I'm suggesting a very simple code. Okay, wild wild flowers, wild flowers are silly, silly little things. Okay, a very simple code to remember the emotions attached with every finger. Wild flowers always ask silly little things. Okay, a very simple code to remember these things. And how does it work? You have to keep your arm like this and you have to hold your fingers for 3 to 10 minutes time like, okay, that based on your time and its availability, you may decide to what extent you have to hold. Okay, for example, what I'm suggesting is maybe for 2 to 3 minutes time, at least for 2 to 3 minutes time, if you're practicing this mechanism, you can have a better control of your mind and emotions at the same time. You will start feeling like you have stress release at the same time, a people mindset, and more, you will be able to focus on the present moment. Okay, I repeat, you have to hold your fingers 2 to 3 minutes like this. Then once the first finger is finished, then go for the second one. Hold it tight for 2 to 3 minutes. Then you will start feeling like the pulse, the finger that will start feeling like the pulse you will start feeling. And gradually after 2 to 3 minutes time spending, then you have to do it repeatedly in every fingers and towards the end, you need to press the palm of your hands. Okay. And what happens? You will start feeling like that stress release, you will start realizing. That's one mechanism, one simple mechanism for being more and more mindful. Okay. It's not about just stress release. At the same time, you will start having more and more attention, more and more focus, more happiness. That's what the end result of practicing this technique. Okay, let's move on. Another simple mechanism. Okay, you might have heard about the free form dance. Free form dance. Different versions are there. You know that you may try different mechanisms apart from the one which I have suggested there. You may try any form of any kind of dance forms. It's not compulsory to stick on to one particular one where you have enough freedom in the sense there should not be predetermined restrictions regarding the steps. If there are predetermined restrictions regarding the steps, what happens gradually, we will start thinking like, am I doing the right thing? There are possibilities of wrong steps. Then we will start getting nervous and the end result may not be the desired one. So better a free form of dance, one world famous one, otherwise the most commonly used one. That's what suggested here, Tai Chi. Tai Chi. From that name, I hope you can recognize that's a Chinese developed one. Okay, that form is a Chinese developed one. What is the scientific background of a free-form dance? This Tai Chi, it's been developed in 12th century actually. You know that centuries back, 12th century. And there are studies which is substantiating the relevance of these dance forms. Okay, can you confirm, am I audible? Can somebody please confirm whether I'm audible?
Yes, sir, perfectly.
Yeah, thank you. Right, let me continue. This free form of dance, it's been scientifically proven. Okay, it's been scientifically proven. I have included the link towards Harvard study stating the relevance of this free form of dance. Okay, Tai Chi, it's been specifically mentioned there as a stress releasing mechanism and which help us to focus more and more, otherwise which help us to enhance our mindfulness. Okay, you may try your locally developed dance forms like anything. There is no restrictions regarding the type of movement, otherwise regarding the type of dance form which you are supposed to follow. Anyway, the intention is very clear, being more and more focused, otherwise getting more and more happiness, focus, stress relief. That's what the end result expected from practicing a free form of dance. Okay. And this Tai Chi, why I have specifically mentioned the same, there is a special reason behind it. It's been practiced traditionally as a martial art form. Okay. Traditionally, in 12th century onwards, from 12th century onwards, it's been practiced like a martial art, which help us to resist ourselves, otherwise, which help us to protect ourselves from all the harmful things. That's what, and at the same time, mind strengthening. That's what the intention behind the development of this particular category of dance. A later stage, gradually, once it's been popularized, again, the Westerners started practicing the same, and they started incorporating the suggestions from this particular dance forms, and now it's been popularized across the globe. Okay, so this is another mechanism which I am suggesting. And then again, another simple mechanism. Okay, here let's try breathing with interactive visuals, breathing exercise. You know that breathing, of course, a natural process. You may have a mindset like, what is so special about the breathing exercise? But I hope, at least after attending these many sessions, you might have understood what is the relevance of this breathing exercise. To what extent, my question is very simple, to what extent people are conscious about the inhale exhale process, otherwise the respiratory process. To what extent we are consciously doing it, that will be doubtful, right? That would be subject to a lot of questions. What I'm suggesting is, why don't you spare a few minutes time, a very few minutes time from your daily schedule to practice some breathing exercises? What is the end result expected from this breathing exercises? For example, on one side, your lung capacity will be improving. Level of oxygen, once it is improved, that will naturally help us to stay positive. Okay. And again, once our breathing capacity is improving, our physical fitness level, that also will be accompanying the same. Okay. And a very simple mechanism, that's what we are suggesting here. Again, after practicing yoga, meditation, all these mechanisms, there is no point in running behind these visual interactive breathing exercise mechanisms. But again, for those who are really busy with the daily schedules, for them exactly we are suggesting this simple mechanism of the support. Let's seek the support of interactive visuals to conduct the breathing exercises, otherwise to have the breathing exercise. One simple mechanism, let me suggest, you may choose something of your interest. For example, a dynamic visual of a flower which is blooming at the same time, closing like anything, that may be utilized at the same time. I'm suggesting something which is very simple one, practice, even maybe after taking 2 or 3 hours session, when you have a feel like you want to have a breathing exercise, otherwise you want to refresh yourself, you may try something like this. Just wait for a second. I can point out the same. Yeah, this is the one. A very simple mechanism is portrayed there. You start practicing this at least for 3 to 5 minutes a day. 3 to 5 minutes a day. What happens within that 3 to 5 minutes practice? If you're continuously doing it, gradually you can empower yourself. Your lung capacity will be strengthened like anything. So that's what the output end result expected from this practicing this mechanism. That's what the end result we are looking for. Okay. Then again, there are other, right. Now, let's go back to the presentations. Right, this will be interesting for everyone. A very simple mechanism is given here. You may please look at the same mindful eating stimulation. Okay, I'm not going to stimulate mindful eating, but at the same time, I'm suggesting this mechanism to improve the mindfulness, otherwise to enhance the mindfulness. What do you mean by mindful eating? Every day, everybody is having food, right? Maybe the food, or at least something to make ourselves comfortable to move on. Every day we will be having something, right? And what I'm suggesting is, why don't you start practicing the mindful eating to avoid a kind of, otherwise that can support us to avoid stress or make us more happy, make us more interesting towards life. There are so many benefits out of it. How to practice this mindful eating? One simple picture is portrayed there. I hope you guys can see the same, right? A piece of chocolate is given there, right? Whatever be the food of your interest, you may imagine like you are having it. Okay, you just imagine like you are taking a piece of food which is of your interest, which is that delicious. Okay, you don't have to rush. You just take a piece. Take a piece of chocolate. Example, that chocolate, you should look at the same, you should feel the texture, how does it look like, then you should start having it like very slowly, have a piece, and try to feel the taste like anything. That chocolate is there, and you are feeling the taste like anything, that sweetness, that chocolate flavor, that's really, really making you happy like anything. Now you start feeling the taste and you just have a piece. Okay. Once you have a piece of that chocolate with that mindful, thoughtful process, you can easily realize you are doing something to make yourself happy. You are doing something to make yourself happy. Then you will start feeling like your stress is getting released. At the same time, your focus is improving. Your area of interest, your food, your interest, you can decide whether it's fruits, vegetables, or some other dishes. You may decide, and you may start practicing. You may try this one. Anyway, practicing mindful eating, it's not that big concern. Like every day, everybody is having food. Why don't we try this? Okay. Then another mechanism, let me suggest this one, a finger movement exercise. That's what exactly here we are suggesting. I hope you can see clearly, right? You can see my hands clearly now. Can you confirm? Can you see me clearly? Yes. Okay, let's try one simple mechanism. Okay, how many of you are really confident that you can move your fingers in the direction as you like? Otherwise, at any moment, to any direction, you can move your fingers. How many of you guys are really confident? Anyway, you guys are not responding at the same time. It's not practical to handle one-to-one responses. I know that. So let me come to the point. Like, you may try this one, okay? How many of you can really do this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Why don't you start doing it like this? 1, 2, 3. At the same time, why don't you start practicing like 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Can you do it? Then you can realize if you do it for 2 to 3 minutes time, just matter of 2 to 3 minutes time, you can easily realize some amount of focus you are getting, because without applying that mind of focus, you may not be able to do it so fast. Okay. You may be able to manage to do it, but at the same time, doing it very fast without any inhibitions, without any limitations, it will take some amount of focus. Okay. So this is another simple mechanism to improve your mindfulness. Then I'm suggesting another mechanism. I hope you guys are with me. Are you guys able to see the slide at the same time? I hope there is no interruptions in my audio. At the same time, my slides are visible, everything, right? Okay, fine. This one is more applicable in this context, I think. Silent group reflection, a very simple mechanism. You may try this one even in your classroom, whatever be the mechanisms which we have discussed, a very simple mechanisms, that's what we have discussed. But at the same time, the applicability of the same, it's there in our classrooms also. When our students are feeling like they are exhausted after continuous theory hours, otherwise after continuous lecturing hours, if they are under a severe pressure, otherwise they are feeling like exhausted, these simple mechanisms we can suggest them also, right? The silent group reflection, put a pause. That's what exactly silent group reflection stands for. Put a pause in the sun, in the sense, a pin drop silence. Why don't you try to reflect upon yourself, look into yourself for a moment and try to recollect what's happening inside you. Okay, that's what silent group reflection stands for, or silent reflection stands for. When we are practicing the same in a class context, you can understand what is happening among their mindset, otherwise that group, how how they are reacting to that session. At the same time, what is going on their mindset, you can easily understand. Once you start practicing the silence, and then you should start asking them, what are the thought process you are undergoing, otherwise what you are feeling like after the session, after that silent reflection, what do you feel, or what do you want to share. You should immediately ask that respondents, so you can easily understand to what extent they are focused, at the same time what is going on their mindset, that you can easily understand. If you are practicing that for yourself, what happens, you can easily understand your insights, at the same time your inside thoughts. Okay, your thought process, you can easily analyze like anything, what's happening with your thought process. It takes maybe 3 to 5 minutes time, otherwise based on your mind controlling capacity, you can extend the time. The silence maintaining, it's not that easy for everyone. Okay, that's why I'm not specifying a time limit for the same. Then we have the mechanism like virtual sound meditation. A very simple mechanism here we have virtual sound meditation, which is almost like the meditation, the yogas. You might have gone through the sessions, you might have attended the session. What is the speciality of virtual sound meditation? I'm not playing that video which I have right now, but at the same time, you know that how to practice that from the title, self-explanatory one. You should start immerse yourself in a world of calming sound, such as Tibetan singing bowls, nature sounds, or ambient music. Then focus on that sound, focus on that sound, then rest and renewal. That's what the exact process of a meditation. Meditation, you know that again, practicing meditation without a scientific guidance, scientific in the sense without an expert guidance, may not be that fruitful. Okay. Meditation, you may start initial stages, you should go for advice from experts, then only you may start practicing the same. Okay. Otherwise, there are chances of errors. At the same time, you may not get the desired result. Once you start practicing the wrong pattern, what happens immediately, you may have an inclination, otherwise an interest of skipping it, immediately skipping it. So if you want to have a long-term practice meditation, then you should start with initial stage, you should start with an expert advice. Then only you may go for uh, self-practice. That's what my simple, humble suggestion from my end. And Then next, another one, let me suggest a very simple mechanism. Jigsaw puzzles you might have seen. Everybody in the sense, especially the teaching community. I hope you guys are into your parenthood, right? You might have brought prize, otherwise gifts for your kids, like some jigsaws, and you might have requested them to solve it, right? Offline, otherwise the one which they can touch, feel, and solve it. Okay. But what I'm suggesting is, after all, we are into the systems, we have different reference sources in systems. At the same time, we are spending more time online. So why don't we try something online? Jigsaw puzzles, why don't we try that online? Okay, that's what my suggestion. So here I am, just let me open one online platform where you can exactly practice these jigsaws. Okay, let me open the same. You can please, yeah, matter of a second. Okay, here we have, I hope you can, yeah, the screen is not shared, right? Yeah, let me share the screen. Now, can you see the screen? Screen is visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Right, here you can see multiple options. Okay, multiple options in the sense different jigsaws, the puzzles are there. Okay, and everything. Why I'm suggesting a very simple platform like this, because you don't have to spare much time, matter of 2 minutes, 3 minutes time. You may try this one, you may solve the same. What happens, the thought process you should understand. Okay, when you are solving the puzzles, you should understand what is happening inside you. Okay, it's not about just solving a puzzle, it's not about enjoying that jigsaw. Beyond that, there is something happening. There is something happening in the sense our mind is getting refreshed. Our mind is getting refreshed. Moreover, that you are getting more focused on your work. Okay, your focusing capacity will be improving like anything. Okay, your problem solving capacity will be improving like anything. That's what the desired output from this exercise. And there are multiple platforms, but some of them are paid versions. That depends upon your interest. This is one free platform where you can try this one. I have some interest in this, that's why I'm suggesting this, because I feel like these things that work for me. Okay, it doesn't mean that when I suggest these things, you should not consider this everywhere it's applicable. No, for everybody, whether it's working, no. Okay, that depends upon your mindset. At the same time, your context, your interest, that depends. Okay, so you may try this or not, that's up to you. That's a simple mechanism from my side. Then another, right, okay, another simple technique, let me suggest. Yeah, this is another mechanism, another simple technique for improving or for enhancing your mindfulness. Okay, mindful art creation. I don't know how many of you have really experienced the outcome. Otherwise, how many of you have really experienced the uh, worth of this technique? Mindful art, in the sense, what I have displayed there, it's one example for clay modeling, right? Again, the same context, being the parent, otherwise parenthood, you might have gifted something like clay for making your kids, to make your kids happy. You might have gifted some kind of clay, they can make some models out of it, you might have gifted them. But what I'm suggesting is, why don't you try that yourself? Why don't you try that yourself? It's not about clay modeling alone. Why don't you try some art form? Maybe If you are good at drawing, why don't you try that? Otherwise, if you are good at some other art form, why don't you try that to have a creative expression? Okay, to have a creative expression, why don't you try that art? And once you try that, you're allowing yourself to express your creativity. Okay, when you are making the art, it doesn't mean that every time that may not be convincing for others. It's not that easy to convince everybody, and being happy together, it's not that easy. Okay, if you want to support your mindset, why don't you try some art by yourself and make it convincing for yourself? Okay, you don't have to convince everybody that you are good at that particular art. If you are feeling like you manage to express yourself through that art, then that's sufficient, more than enough. Okay, whether it's clay modeling, otherwise whether it's something else, or you are a painter, an artist, it doesn't matter. You may try anything, any art form of your interest, and start working out, start practicing the same for some time, minimum amount of time. Okay, and immediate response is like, or immediate outcome is like, a bit of happiness will be there, a bit of happiness will be there. Your mindset, you may observe like your stress level is coming down. At the same time, your focus and the way of expressing your ideas, that's really fantastic with this practicing. Okay, and then again, there are other methods. You have one choice in the sense, you may try this one. Discover your mindfulness score. How can you discover your mindfulness score? I'm suggesting mindfulness. Where do you stand exactly? How can you recognize the same? Whether it's practical to recognize, you are staying at its best. Whether you are that good at mindfulness or being mindful, how can you recognize the same? That's a very simple question from my side. How can you decide where you are standing in case of mindfulness, where you are standing exactly? How can you calculate the same? Anyway, right? After all, there are no scope for getting proper responses. But again, sandbox you may try, right? How can we get the mindfulness score? Otherwise, where you are standing, how can we update regarding that? Here we are suggesting a very simple mechanism, a very simple mechanism. Why don't you try some online platforms where you have to crack a minimum number of questions, and by tracking this minimum number of questions, you can understand where you are exactly standing. Let me give you one uh, demo of the same. Wait for a moment. Try this one, okay? Yes. Now, I hope the, yeah, now the site is open. Right. Here you can witness a very simple mechanism how to assess your mindfulness capacity. Okay, how to assess your mindfulness. For example, these are free trials. Okay, these are free trials. You may start answering the questions when I am started. when I'm startled, I notice what is going on inside my body. What is your rating out of it? You have to give it continuously. You may go further till the process is over. You have to continue. And towards the end, you may find the end score. Okay, I'm not doing the entire process, but for your information, the process is absolutely free of cost. You may try these kinds of things to understand where you exactly stand in case of mindfulness. Okay, and now let me tell you a very simple story. Now let me tell you a very simple story, and then we can discuss about some general information regarding mindfulness. Right. Yeah, right. There was a guru years back. Years back, there was a guru who used to teach a lot of lessons to his disciples. Okay, years back. And getting attracted towards the same, the teachers community, they were totally surprised, like with a very simple setting of an educational institution. I don't know whether we can call it an educational institution. Anyway, traditionally we used to insist the term Gurukula Vidyabhyas, Gurukula, right? The home where exactly the guru is teaching his disciples. Okay, that's where exactly that guru used to teach his disciples, and by uh, by understanding, otherwise by knowing about the number of disciples that guru is having, that the institutes which was neighboring there, they were quite fascinated, they were quite surprised by that number, because more and more disciples every day, they used to go to that guru, and they started learning from that person. So they wanted to understand what's happening exactly in that guru's institution. Okay, so they decided to verify what's happening there. They all together, visited that guru's uh, institution, otherwise that setting. They personally together, like disciples, they went there, and they started learning the lessons from that guru. Guru, Guru requested, that master requested these disciples to come together and sit beneath a tree, a large tree. Okay, and they were expecting like some teaching materials, otherwise some reading materials, and of course that master will be teaching based on that, but nothing doing. That guru, he just simply asked them to sit there very quiet for some time. Okay, very quiet for some time. It was a very nature friendly place, and there was a a river very close to that place. At the same time, the birds chirping, it was there. It was full of smooth wind flow. At the same time, some time after spending some time, they started feeling like something is there. Initially, they were irritated by that act. When somebody is asking you to sit idle for some time, sit idle for some time, be quiet for some time, what happens, we'll be under the impression why that man is not talking, why he is not giving us any materials to refer. That would be the impression from our end. But this master, he helped them to put a pause for some time, and he tried to make them realize what is happening around them. And he started asking insights about the same. What do you feel after spending this time? Otherwise, after this silence, after the span of that silence, what do you feel? He started asking them. They started sharing different thoughts. Somebody was fascinated towards that bird chirping. At the same time, somebody was highly fascinated, highly interested with that river's flowing sound. Somebody was feeling the energy of that environment. So different insights they started sharing together. And Guru concluded like, if you are teaching, if you are learning, if it's clear, like what you uh, what you have experienced is exactly nature. Okay, what you have experienced is nature, and that's what the lesson which I wanted to convey today. That's what the message. Okay, that Guru concluded like, I prefer to start my teaching with understanding what is nature. By conveying that message, or by getting that message, immediately that group of teachers, they were totally surprised. Is this the way of teaching others? Is this the way of teaching others? They started feeling like, they started interacting with that master, and they made themselves transparent enough, like they are teachers, and they started learning lessons about teaching from that person. Okay. And what I want to tell you is, it's always good to look into yourself and understand you are conscious about the present moment without much inhibitions about the future, or without much worries about the past. Try to focus on that present moment. Then our mindfulness, otherwise our capacity, will be gradually improving like anything. Okay. And I hope you guys are aware about the different stress, otherwise different hormones, different physical reactions and related hormones that you are familiar with. I hope so. But anyway, let me give you a brief idea regarding the same, so you can have better mindfulness techniques when you are practicing these mindfulness techniques which we have discussed. Of course, you can connect these mechanisms. Okay. Right. 1 second. Yeah. Physical reactions in the sense, what sort of physical reaction is there when you have stress? What sort of hormones are there in your body when you are experiencing the stress? Of course, I hope you guys are familiar with adrenaline, at the same time cortisol. Okay, when you are experiencing the stress, whether it's from the classroom environment, whether it's from your work environment, the processes, whatever be the reason, when you are experiencing the stress, you should understand your adrenaline level and cortisol level is varying like anything. Okay, a natural result of the same, that's what exactly indigestion. Okay, indigestion, that's what one natural result of the same. Then we have the normal hormone variations, like increased stomach sensitivity. When you have increased stomach sensitivity, maybe whatever be the reason, what is the uh, nerve, otherwise your nerve cells that will start feeling the same. Okay, and causing sensations like there are butterflies in your stomach. You will have a feel like there are butterflies in your stomach. That's what one result of this increased stomach sensitivity. Then muscle tension, when you have, you will start feeling like tightness, bloating, discomfort, different issues or impacts could be there. So why I'm pointing out these stress related factors, otherwise our mindfulness related factors, you should understand when you're practicing these simple techniques of mindfulness activities, otherwise mindfulness enhancement. When you're practicing the simple techniques, you can manage these hormonal variations, at the same time the physical reactions you can easily control. That's why I'm mentioning these things. Then disruption of digestion, that may cause stress. Of course, stress that may lead to different issues. Then at the same time, there are multiple issues and hormonal variations that are associated with the concept, otherwise the context which we are discussing now. But let me cross-check to what extent I'm permitted to continue, right? We need to spare the last 15 minutes for the Q&A session, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Then I think should I wind up now, or am I permitted to go for another 10 minutes time?
Let's go, sir.
Yeah, okay, right. Then my back to the topic. Let me right. You have different reasons for being distracted in your work. Otherwise, at the same time, maybe in your life, there could be different reasons. Okay. But again, to bring back yourself into the track mindfulness, what we can do is like, if you're feeling like tension, discomfort, or even energy block or physical restrictions, you don't want to move on, or mental distractions, what you can do exactly? You may start practicing different mechanisms, and from the different mechanisms, you should start allocating the time. Okay, you should start allocating the time. For example, if you are interested in practicing music therapy, otherwise, if you are interested in practicing yoga, if you are interested in meditation, you may try this like weekly once. You can spend time for meditation, then another day for physical exercise, another day for musical therapy. Like that, you may allocate the time. Then gradually you can understand every day together. By practicing gradually, you will start having, you will start experiencing the changes. You will start experiencing the changes like anything that will create positive energy in your life, in your workplace, in your body, everywhere. Wherever you go, you will start feeling that positive energy. Okay, find out the mindfulness techniques which suits the best for you, whether it's breathing exercises, whether it's physical exercises, doesn't matter. Whatever be the pattern which is comfortable for you, you may identify that technique and you may start practicing the same. And as I said, gradually, okay, don't go for or don't expect any immediate results out of it. Immediate results are not at all practical, especially in case of mechanisms like meditation, otherwise yoga, otherwise physical exercises. Getting immediate results are not at all possible. You may have to wait for years and years to get results. Okay, so don't get discouraged. You may have to patiently wait for time. Then gradually, after practicing for years and years, these things that can console you like anything, that can give you happiness like anything, that can help you control your mindset like anything, and of course that will give you positive energy and more mindfulness in your life. Okay, so that's it from my end. Now the platform is open for questions. If you have any queries from your end, we can discuss.
Sir, pranam, sir.
Right.
Sir, is the term brain and mind or same, sir?
Brain and mind. Really confusing one, right? In my opinion, something which we are discussing every day, that might be use your brain, right? Something which we are discussing every day. Otherwise, when we are advising a student, otherwise when you are communicating with your uh, fellow members, use your brain, yeah, right? You may not be using that term mind. Applying mind is something different, right? Applying mind in the sense, you have a bit more compassionate ground. When you are using logic at the same time being sensitive, that may be the differentiation between mind and brain. Brain, which is of course like more scientific towards, otherwise more logical at the same time. Mind, which is more sensitive, and I don't want to explain both in detail. At the same time, I'm not a person with scientific capacity to explain the same, because I don't have a medical background on one side. What I practice is like, in my personal expertise, in my personal areas, what I practice is like just techniques to enhance my focus. I enjoy the focus enhancing techniques, and that's what usually I share with everyone. But I don't want to narrate both in the same way, because brain is, of course, more logical. At the same time, mind is more sensitive, and at the same time, which can be broad, right? Which is very difficult to understand. Brain with more and more neurons, at the same time, the neural networks, which is very complicated like anything. But when you look into your mind, you can understand easily what's happening there. Otherwise, by spending some time, you can easily understand what's happening inside your mind. But brain and looking into your brain, understanding your brain, your neural network functions, the lakhs and lakhs of neurons, it's not that easy. So complicated, both are different in my opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, how to recover from headache?
Headache, right? Headache, you should understand we have different circumstances. If you have a medical reason for a headache, that should be treated properly. If you have a medical reason for headache, that should be treated properly. Medical treatment is the only solution for that. Otherwise, if it's if the source, otherwise, if the reason is like, for example, you are experiencing high level of stress every day. If you are experiencing high level of stress every day, and you want to get rid of the same, and you have a headache as part of that stress, then you may try the stress releasing mechanism. Okay, stress releasing mechanisms you may try like anything. Or if you have, for example, in my case, if I'm sleepless for some days, otherwise, if I'm not getting enough sleep over the days, what happens is like I will start experiencing headache. Okay, when my sleeping cycle is disturbed, of course, usually I have that level of headache, which is unmanageable for me. Of course, I will go to sleep, take rest, and come back. I will bring back myself into track, and I will manage to cure my headache. So, like that, whatever be the reasons for your headache, that you should find first. Whether it's stress, whether it's medical reasons, or whether it's based on that specific days distracted, otherwise that normal schedule is distracted. If that's the reason, then you should find that reason and you should sort it out. So the treatment, otherwise that solution is purely based on the situation, at the same time circumstance, nothing beyond that. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other queries, participants? Sir, then can we wind up this session?
Yeah, fine, no issues.
Okay. Sir, on behalf of the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering of Nehru College of Engineering and Research Center, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for accepting our invitation, sir. Your session was really informative, and it was actually giving us so many tips regarding the process for relieving stress and so many ideas. So thank you so much, sir. It was really very, very informative. Once again, thanks a lot for accepting our invitation. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, once again, thank you from bottom of my heart to the entire coordinators and organizing team, especially the principal of this institution, at the same time, the coordinators, co-coordinators, then Dr. Sadish from Nehru Engineering College. A very special thanks to you also. Then the participants, thank you very much for your patient listening. Wish you all the best, all the success in your career. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for the fifth day also. So good night, and we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Respected organizers, please confirm the